Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Captain America Sentinel of Liberty issue 11. Yeah. Pretty interesting cover here, like Cap and the whole thing with the star point, and we kind of get that stuff going on in here. So, last time we had seen that Roger was killed, and we deal with the fallout of that as we see pretty much a little recollection and how not recollection, but we go back and we see it from Bucky's kind of perspective as Steve and Sharon are mourning Roger, and Bucky, he looks very sad in this one panel and then pissed in this one. And it's kind of interesting. It's like, Sharon's like, I'm going to kill that monstrosity, I'm going to take him apart, Steve. And Steve's like, not a doubt in my mind. I've got the power. You and the invaders take MODOK. Bucky comes home today and no one else dies. For Roger, Steve. And Bucky says for Roger as well. And so we then see as the battle moves to two fronts, with the invaders taking on MODOK and Steve going after the power. And that's just, I really like how this showcases everyone kind of moving toward their respective goals, but also the use of color as well, with red for the power and kind of like this greenish kind of hue with MODOK's beams. So then we get Steve going after power, and he tells him to surrender the Nega Knight and to end his little game, and the power's like, the star at the center of the shield, our greatest disappointment. That weapon is ours. I'll take possession of it. Thank you very much. And it's not going to go anywhere further towards its new master. And Steve's like, magic in a Latvian accent. I fought your type before. Didn't go well for him either. And Power's like, yeah, but Dune chases Power. And he's like, I am Power. It's like, yeah, that totally fits. And then he just pretty much is like, calling out Steve, saying he's an outmoded product, a prototype long discarded, a symbol long obsolete, and Steve's like, the symbol's not mine, it's yours. I'm just Steve. And it's like, yes, that is the power of Steve Rogers, and Captain America. And he's like, and that's all I need to take you down. Exactly. And then he clashes with him and bursts energy and everything. It's like, all right, let's see how this works. So we see MODOK pretty much gleefully being like, I'm in kill mode! And it's like, sweet good God. It's like, I love this body. I'm shooting out dangerous, deadly beams. And they're pretty much talking about this. He's not wrong. This cover won't last. The bullets aren't doing shit. And then Bucky gets in contact with Peggy and pretty much, listen, this wasn't part of the plan, but I have a solve, so vocalize on my mark, and pretty much gives her a code that is able to take MODOK back into his control mode instead of kill mode, and it fucking sucks his little ass back into his, like, busted out eyeball. It's like, god damn, that's fucked up and crazy. And of course, now he's pissed. He's like, I'm gonna fucking give you a pain worse than death for that. And then Sharon's like, fucking bring it. Sharon is in no play mode here. And, of course, he tries to go into their minds, and Redacted's like, yeah, you had a better chance out here as a fair fight, but you just invited us back into familiar battlefield. And then MODOK's like, what? It's like, and we are invaders. And I like that it's Redacted saying that, giving more kind of to their character, and it's like, all right, breaking through that shell, we'll see how this kind of works out. And, of course, just then seeing all this shit going on in the mind and the explosions and the colors, it's like, yes. And then, of course, Steve's like, oh, look at that. You're all out of star points. And then the power's just like, your name tastes like disgust in my mouth. The stalwart sentinel of the 20th century. You're dismissed from the century game, Steve Rogers. Die. Now die. It's like, yeah. And then we get, I didn't know how I felt about these, but as they've been going on, I love this kind of kinetic movement, kind of two-page thing that they've been doing. And he's like, I'll tell you, that kind of condescension really gets my goat. And I love when Rogers uses those kind of expressions. He's missed most of the 20th century. Everyone else had time to change. I had to keep up from day one. So I have, every day. Because otherwise I'd spend every minute looking backward. You know what I've learned? If you're a decent person, there's power in not changing. A lot like how my shield has been conserving its momentum all that time inside that magic spell. you're so concentrated on, as he's pretty much like going around, moving around the battlefield, taking a little bit of the power's concentration every time. The one I just got you to look away from. See, it's your symbol, but it's my shield. And I'm like, yes, that is an important distinction. You might have the star point and the circles, but that shield, that's Steve's stuff, man. And smacks his ass out. It's like, yeah. And then Steve is just, I love this right here, because it's got the outer circle thing up top. He's like, all right, 1 down, 4 to go. And then he starts talking to Bucky, and Bucky actually talks back to him, saying that he's dead, one of your oldest friends, Buck, and you sacrificed him like a pawn. Destroyer, but then Bucky's like, Destroyer made his choice, and so did you. And we also see the star point, well, the Neganite kind of stuff, I think. Yeah. Yes, the Neganite. There we go. That's a damn lie, and we both know it. When you left me that Neganite shard, you knew what I would do, and you did it perfectly. Thank you for the part you played. Now stay out of my business, Rogers. As he then goes away saying, forward the revolution, and he's like, you can't run forever. Come back. Come home. And you can just see the pain there with Steve as he wants his friend to come home. His friend's just doing stuff, and you know he's trying to do it for the right reasons, but they're stronger together. They can help each other. They can think through stuff. And then we see Sharon cradling the Destroyer's mask, saying that it's a promise, talking about how she thought Roger was just an old kook from the war, but then he destroyed that tower when he saved us in that mine prison. I thought to myself, this guy's just getting started. It's like, yeah, sometimes people get a later kind of start, even though he has had so many kind of adventures. And then she's like, what the hell is the point of Barnes burning his entire life in front of us, hurting you like that, if with all that precious money and power, he still let a man like Roger burn? And that's an important bit, okay? If you can think and let a good person die like that for your goals, where does it end? And that's a good thing for her to question as she hugs Steve and we see Roger's dead body. So then we shift to 1 week later as they're pretty much having a barbecue at Steve's place, and Fury's pretty much asking if Sharon's sticking around, and she's like, stay away from my grill, Nick. I've claimed it for the nation of well-cooked beef. I meant New York specifically, 2 floors down. And it's just funny. It's like, stay away from my burgers. It's like, okay, hold on. That's not what I was going for. And then she's like, yeah, I'm sticking around. But he then gets to say, you and Steve don't always bring out the best in each other. 2020 perspective from the one-eyed man. What James did to him, and with Roger down, he needs care, Sharon, and you, what about me? Nothing, you're just burning the buns. As they're then trying to save the buns, and it looks like Fury is drinking some kind of beer, and then he's trying to, like, douse it. I'm like, I think Fury's a little bit smarter than that, unless it's like, what do I do? And it's like a reflex maneuver. You're like, I have liquid, but it's like, this is flammable liquid. Hola. And I kind of like that they're kind of getting into each other's kind of characters there. And then we see that David is dealing with stuff with the kind of proxy and pretty much having put up the information of what was going on in New York at the time that AIM did it, and to have the evidence on there on the internet. And then Peggy's asking where Steve is, and that he saw him down with the big oil slick guy, Miss Carter. Thank you, handsome. Man, you're easy. Let me enjoy my Twilight years. It's like, yeah, just let him do that. So we see that Steve is talking to Redacted. Redacted is pretty much saying that his wounds look, that their wounds look worse than they feel. And Steve's like, how do they feel? Redacted terrible. And without you taking those shots, it was needed. We acted. It's time to rest. But when we wake, we will have much to discuss. Like what? We've been wondering what it might be like to have a name. It's like, all right. Redacted is getting through. We're seeing what they could actually be, who they are. So we'll see how that kind of works out. So we see that Peggy is on the side of the building, pretty much saying that Redacted is off the board and that they're clear for phase 2. So it looks like Peggy and Bucky are kind of working together and trying to dismantle stuff, and because this seems to be going according to their plan. They're dismantling the outer circle, probably taking out each of the star points as well. So we'll see how that kind of works out. And then we see that Mia talks to Steve and thanks him for what he did, because in case nobody else had said that yet, and he's like, no one has actually, and you're very welcome, Mia, as he thanks her as well. Like saying you're welcome and everything. It's like, yeah, that's cool. I like that. And we see that Sharon's like, I like your friends. We see all the kind of like beat up kind of portions of Steve's place and all that. And Steve thinks that they like her as well. And she's like, I don't know about the renovation though. And then he's talking about her because the place is pretty wrecked. Maybe it doesn't need to be exactly what it used to be. And then Sharon's like, Steve, say it plain. What if instead of being my place, it was ours? Yes, you absolute dork. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Love it. And he's like, do you have any idea how much I love you? Yeah. Do you have any idea how much I love you? I'm starting to get an idea. I'm like, yay, Sharon. And then they hear knock, knock. And this is great. And Steve's wondering if it's Amari. And he's like, I saved you something. And Sharon's like, it's not Amari. And who might it be? Ian? Long time no. Hi, Dad. Long time. And I'm like, yay! 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 So it took a while, but now we see that Ian has finally gotten around to visiting Steve and we'll have that kind of thing. So I'm really glad about that. And I can't wait to see what happens next with all that. So this was a really good issue of tying up what was going on with MODOK and Power and getting a lot of momentum going forward and going after the Outer Circle. They had a costly victory. They had lost Roger, but they took out MODOK and Power. That's big, taking out a star point and taking out one of the key integral players, even though the Bucky is still in play. And now we've got Ian back, and we can see how they catch up, how Ian might potentially change interacting with Steve, because we have seen him working out under Sam Wilson and how he's more into kind of the Black Ops, Wet Ops kind of stuff that kind of like Black Widow would have been in. And we'll see if he kind of gets more kind of like because we did see that he kind of brought, when Sam was going off the rails, this kind of stuff that Steve taught him kind of come to the front as he tried to like help him out as well. So it'll be cool to see how Ian's kind of take on what he's learned from Steve works out and how his character kind of works with Steve and Sharon and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, yes, it was a great kind of spot to end the issue on, and I can't wait to see what else is going to be going on and the event and everything. And I do like at the back that we've got a checklist and everything, and I did reserve the Cold War Alpha, and when I have the chance I'll also do the Cold War Omega. And I gotta say, even though we finished talking about what's going on with the issue, I do like that we're getting this kind of event, and I like the structure of this. Like, there's a one-shot in the beginning, there's a one-shot at the end, and you can just read the issues that you've been reading to get the story of what goes on in this Captain America Cold War event. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to be going on with that, what's going to be changing in Sentinel of Liberty, Symbol of Truth, and what's going to be going on with Steve and Sam and the rest. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.